Welcome to the first DVIC live recording, or not recording, live web stream. So we're trying something different here. And so today we're going to give this a test. And the idea of these live streams is to take questions from the audience and take questions from the forums on the new portal. We'll talk about the new portal shortly. And I have two esteemed colleagues here to hopefully answer those questions. And we'll have others as we do these live streams, but we're definitely going to do these once a month. So I have with me today James Hartwright and Nols Ebersohn. So very esteemed data vaulters. So just a little bit, I guess, about what's happened over the last few weeks. We launched the mobile app and the web portal. So that's sharing lots of the content that we've been producing over the last 2 years. And there'll be a big stream of additional new content coming all the time through that. A couple of the other things that are really valuable, I think, for the community will be the forums. So there's a forum for general Q&A, and the Certus team and others will be lurking in the forums. And so if you have questions on how to do various parts of Data Vault or what a particular concept means, then you're likely to be able to find someone who has an answer for you in the forum. So that's hopefully really helpful. And the other forum that we've started with at the first part is a recruitment forum. So if you're a certified data vaulter and you're looking for a role, you can mention that within that forum. And I know there's lots of organizations right now looking for experienced data vault practitioners. So that's good, but then also some of our customers are interested in posting the roles that they have available. So it's kind of going to be a two-way street. We won't be governing that. If you see a role you're interested in, reach out to that organization, or if you are an organization and you see someone you're interested in, reach out to that individual as well. It's not a managed environment. It's just a place for people to connect and network in a digital way. So welcome, guys. How are you, James?
Good, thank you.
Good. And Nols, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, excellent. So I thought, given this is the first one of these chats, these live streams, we might just spend a bit of time actually telling the audience who we are. So maybe a bit of backstory. James, will kick off with you. I know you've got quite an interesting journey from a boy in the UK. Do you want to kind of give us the couple of minute snapshot of your journey, to Australia and
sure. Yep. Sure. Yeah. So 34 years and 50 weeks ago, I started as a trainee developer in IT on PCs. And moved very quickly up into mainframe 4GLs. And that's where I first discovered data and insights. And like, it's one of those classic things, you find something you enjoy and you love. The world and fate, it takes you everywhere. So for about 25 years, I became a roving consultant. So from the Midlands near Birmingham up to Manchester, then to Leeds, then to London, a couple of years in Little Rock, Arkansas, building IBM's marketing database for them across EMEA in the US and Canada. And I decided, well, let me try and get as far away from IBM as possible because they were stealing my life. And I made my way to Australia around 2005. That point, the core bits of data were still really interesting, but I found myself a lot more working on the insights and the analytics side, and that all of this stuff that I've been doing in terms of helping combine and prepare and give trust in data. You still needed an audience for it. You still needed people that were wanting to use it and able to use it. So I've spent a lot more time embedding the use of BI and the use of analytics into organizations and actually making it, those things part of operational processes. And that's really what I've been doing now across the whole flow of data across organizations. So my last 2 or 3 years in Australia, have been talking in with people around data strategy, analytics strategy, implementing data governance. And look, what I've really discovered is that there's that there's actually quite a big parallel with members of my family. There are three generations of the family who are in education, so primary school, high school, up through to university. And I think there's part of the genes of the family that teaching, tutoring, mentoring through whatever level of maturity you might think our end customers are. It's one of the big things I like, is to share the knowledge I have, and the classic teach people to fish is where I still love working.
That's cool. I didn't know that, actually. Both my parents are teachers as well. My dad at university and mum high school. So there you go. So now you live in Sydney. I guess lots of people don't know where we all are. So
that's true.
So we'll get to where Nols lives in a minute. But I guess I first met you when you were at News, which was quite an interesting role from my perspective. Give us a 2-minute on that.
So I've tended to work on both sides. So I've worked a lot in vendor side, selling consulting, but I do like to do the flip and flop and keep myself up with what's actually going on. So I did 3 years at News Corp. The News Corp, as we all know, are an interesting organization anyway. The key thing I was brought in for was to try and help them move more from a product-centric, the editor tells you what you read and how you read it, way more through to a customer-centric. So pulling in all of the bits and pieces around behaviors of people. What are they reading and when and on what devices, and really trying to help craft that content to the way that people are consuming it. And as you can imagine, 5,000 people, 150 different brands, the amount of data that we had to pull together and synthesize was a pretty big job. Did truly test me in that, actually rolling my sleeves up and getting in and up and running. But definitely an engagement I don't regret doing. And part of that is because I got introduced to Julien and the Certus team, and helped me make the jump back over to the strategic consulting.
And we'll say lots of nice things about News because we don't want to get sued. So
no.
So Nols, you've got a very different story. Why don't you start with how you made your way to Australia and to DataVault? Oh, Nols seems to be frozen. That's no
Maybe
good.
This is the point at which you say where Nols is.
I'll cover where Nols is. So Nols has recently taken a lifestyle change and moved to just north of Hervey Bay, and has bought a bush block and is building a house. And he had a very interesting time moving from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland to Hervey Bay just as all of the big wet of the year hit, and that he's built a tiny house in a shipping container as their base while they build on the block. They couldn't even get it onto the block to start with. It was sitting out the front of the block, and the trucks couldn't get on because of the dirt road. And there's a really nice river that runs behind his block. And I've not been there yet, but I've stalked him on satellites. And so it's a bit of a change, but we found actually, obviously it has NBN coverage, which is a great thing. And we found Nols has been able to deliver training and what have you from remote parts of the country. Nols, I've just given away the secret of where you live. So your move to the bush. I think you're back. Can you hear us? Oh, the joys of live streams. These are fun. All right, I'm going to take a moment while Nols is kind of sorting his stuff out, and I'll give my backstory. So I did chemistry at uni. Then I worked in sales and marketing in hotels for 10 years. And then about 16 years ago, I guess, 17 years ago, that's when I made the move to technology industry and IT. I have mostly been on the sales and marketing side of the function. Although I did start with a hardware vendor, and part of their sales training process was we had to build the servers. So I've plugged lots of motherboards together and understood how storage architectures and all those things actually got built up. And I think that was a pretty good grounding in the basis of IT. But it would be, I think, probably 13 or 14 years ago that I've moved into the information management space. And I've had some great mentors. Two of those great mentors are actually on this call, and others like Vincent McBurney and Gavin DeBron, who's an expert in Sybase IQ back when we started. So I'm DV2 certified, even though I'm not really a technical person. So I kind of sit in that weird space where I can kind of understand what you guys are talking about, but hopefully help translate that for business people. And that's what I like to do. So I live in Queensland as well. So Nols and I are both Queenslanders, but I live in a more civilized part of Queensland, I guess, or more urban part of Queensland on the Gold Coast. So it's where my family is. So born in Australia, grew up in Australia, although in Victoria, and I grew up just north of Melbourne. So that's a bit of a snapshot of James and I. I think we're going to struggle with Nols today. Clearly, what I was going to say is with NBN supporting where Nols lives, that we have no problems, but we'll go with sometimes we have problems. So there you go. So, just quickly thinking back to your news journey, talk a little bit about what we did with MDM when you were there versus what that kind of looks like now. I know you're working with lots of customers who are trying to get customer-centric rather than product-centric, and how that kind of sphere's evolved, because I think we get lots of good questions in that space.
Yeah. So at that time, we were working still a little advanced. So this is 2013, 14. So we were using a traditional data warehouse SQL engine, but we were going very definitively ELT. So we had effectively that data lake, permanent store of everything going on. And everything on top of that was a set of business rules to bring the sets of data together. We found very early on that our best route to market initially was the marketing team. So the marketing team understanding all of the products and behaviors and interactions so that the marketing function could bring in. So we focused on a small set of data that we were looking at. So individuals and their household, the product holding, and then anything that we could get in terms of general content, these are the sort of genres or areas that the person's looking at through, and yet trying to do the cross-sell, upsell. But that then started leading into the engagement side. So newsletters of, right, you've read these articles, but these others are we think are of interest, and continuing that process. So we weren't using Data Vault, but we were using, and I've been finding this as we run through. So as people start using data lakes and doing conformed, and they start thinking about data virtualization, a lot of those little pieces that Dan baked into the Data Vault methodology and principles, you go, that's why that's there. That's why that adds value. The version controlling and the ability to generate a lens over the data that fits marketing, that fits risk, that fits the advertising team or the content team. All of those sorts of things become available when you've done that level of graph, hub and spoke level data modeling behind it. So we weren't using Vault, but there were a lot of principles of Vault that we were applying. Of course, now I know everything about Vault, now I know way more about Vault. It would have been a wholly better engagement. We had to go to a large team to pull all of that in. We had some principles and playbooks, but all of the things around code automation, generation, automated testing would have just made our lives so much easier. I may have been a chief data officer, even the CEO by now. You never know.
Well, maybe, yeah. It is interesting. I always find when you dive into Vault, you don't realize how many problems it solves that you're not even aware are problems until you get to them. And
Yeah.
I guess that's probably the benefit of, leveraging obviously a great idea, but also the fact that that idea has been tested thousands of times. So
Yeah, totally.
So improved on, I guess, as the years have rolled on. So we've lost Nols. He was in, but he couldn't hear anything. So he's having some technical problems. So hey, that's what happens with live streams. And now I feel how what Carl Stefanovic must feel like when he's doing live TV. It's a strange scenario. But anyway, there you go. So some of the other things that I had on the list to talk about today was really, what are the big topics that are driving people towards Vault? Because I think we're going to talk a lot over these sessions around how do we help technical users to convince the business and build a really valuable business case. And we'll go into lots of that over a number of series or another number of these sessions. But to start with, I mentioned one, I guess, is becoming customer-centric or people-centric. Can you think of others that are kind of the big driving forces for this?
Yeah, I think we're still seeing a number of people who are saying, right, I was working fine for 3 to 5 years on my Kimball model, but now because of this thing of the customer centricity, or the company's just done a merger and acquisition, or we've got some new compliance, some new change, and my Kimball model is now straining, and one of the starter responses to that is, well, let's build a data lake. But we've just seen so many people that coming through that maturity of lake, coming out of the pain of Kimball, that just the business desire, want, need for data. And I'll push out of the way, hey, we need data in real time, blah, blah, blah. What the business really need in the vast majority of cases is trust in the data that's being presented. So that when I'm looking at it, I know where the data's come from. So enterprise business glossaries are just like every client I'm going to talk to understands the need for that and wants it baked in. And if they've got a load of SSIS or Informatica that's been handcrafted, the ability to A, produce the trust, and B, deliver the lineage in a user consumable way just is really horrible. And so when we start talking to clients, and we did it earlier this week, a client that's got 7 different products in 7 different divisions, and even just to get that set of data so that an area can get in and use it, they've just gone, we're stuck. We've tried for 10 years to fix this, and we're still really no further. So that bit of being able to start applying business rules and starting to apply in parallel data quality rules under Business Vault, and keep and track and manage, that's really the bit that the data services team have to bring their game up, in proven, repeatable, consistent processes. Oh. I don't know what happened there. Beautiful live again. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you, James. Can you hear Jules?
The wonders of technology.
I'm back. Sorry.
Well, I went as well. Yeah, so sorry, I was just saying that the requirement of the data team is that consistency, is that explainability, and their ability to adjust, not necessarily as much now, hey, show me the last 10 years and make sure it's coherent, but just explain to me what the new data is. If business processes have changed, if data's changed, then present that to me and show me and help guide. Next step is definitively for that place of the tech business analysts, the BI reporting team, to be a really strong connection through. I'm seeing some of that, but it's still got a way to go in there. And look, that's where I said earlier is I see that at the moment as my key role is to start engendering some of that, being able to surface good data to the business through increasing data literacy, through presenting what's gone on with this data.
Another thread I've been noticing has come up multiple times in the last month. And we have a customer that's really followed this path, is using Vault as a data migration platform for digital transformation and an application modernization type projects, and creating essentially a migration capability within the organization. That's I know you know who I was referring to. We won't mention them straight up, but I'm sure you're hearing the same thing.
Oh yeah. The power of Vault to do things. So we have a lot of utilities clients, so people who are running gas pipelines, electricity distribution, generation, and needing to migrate all of that core data of here are the assets, here's the maintenance that's occurred, this is when it was installed, here are all the people in their certifications, and they'll be in old systems, multiple systems, Excel spreadsheets, but they've got a new application in which to do that. So the classic and the one that you should never do, but lots of people are sort of forced into it, is, all right, let's do something that we try and migrate the data in. It fails on 30% of the data. So you loosen the rules in the new beautiful environment. So now you're starting with poor data quality. So following the Data Vault principles and the ELT process, take all of that data from the old systems, land it effectively in the raw Vault structure, and then have your effectively a target mart structure, information mart structure that maps to whatever that new system is, and start mapping it. So build your mapping in terms of a data mart perspective. If you find there's problems you need to fit to a new reference structure, build a business rule on it and keep on building that. The other part is, if you've got data that is just bad and you've got that done quickly, you can go back to those original sources and say, right, here's a bit of data stewardship, go and fix it back up at source. And you can try it again and again and again. You get that data and that process built in early. You've got a way higher chance of a fast migration and a way, way better chance of that data being good when it lands in that target system. And as you say, I'm seeing it lots of times where we can use that great Data Vault architecture to do these things, and using your existing structures, or just now I can stand up a little cloud architecture that has those tools in it, and build, run. It's there for 2 months, and then I can drop it. And very cheap, very well structured.
We've had a question from Corey come in. So what's our recommended data storage for Data Vault models in AWS? I'm thinking Snowflake.
Yeah. So if I was answering this 3 years ago, and the standard response would have been, well, put it in Redshift, I would have gone, no, look, it's really horrible. Like Redshift at the point. So some of that process that Data Vault has, that we all know where we played with it, there's lots of you have a good number of tables in building out a data mart, a good number of tables. The business rules and the value that they provide starts bringing in lots of joins. So we have pits and bridges that we can put in there. But effectively what I used to have to say was, if you're using Redshift, you pretty much need to put a pit and a bridge. You can't go with the virtual. You're basically just going to have to instantiate it. What I've seen through, I'm sort of hoping that it's AWS saw, hey, more and more people are doing Data Vault, so let's bring that up. But what we are seeing is that some of that structure in Redshift and the columnar structure is actually starting to come together, that we're getting the speed and we can do virtual marts. But look, within AWS, of course, the one that's just out there everywhere, not just in AWS but everywhere, Snowflake. And
they're a big supporter of Data Vault, obviously. As a concept.
Indeed.
From a technology standpoint, I think it's probably from an AWS point of view right now. The no-brainer
would be my choice. There's a few really strong things around Snowflake where a number of our clients have gone. So Snowflake and their data lake concept of saying, right, we've got pipe and but I can effectively create that data lake historized storage. The slight tweak when you discover that joining all of those Snowflake pieces together and no integration rules starts getting hard, putting Data Vault in there, and then either keeping your persistent data store in Snowflake and then leading it on, that works fine. But similarly, taking and migrating and maturing and saying the persistent store comes into Raw Vault, there's some real, it just made it so much easier for us walking into clients who are struggling to say, no, we can build on top of this easily. And it's all in Snowflake, and you've got some great constructs there in Snowflake, as you say, for deploying Data Vaults.
Cool. Now, we're almost out of time, I guess, for today, which is good. We got through it. And even though we meandered back and forth a little bit so we will catch up on Nols's life story next time. I did want to mention a couple of things. So the forums in the app and the portal right now are under your profile. So if you're watching this live, or if you're watching it under a recording and you are trying to find where to get to those forums, right now, click on your profile. It drops down. There's a green and a blue button for the QA forum and the recruitment forum. So please jump into that. And comment or ask questions. We want these live streams to be full of questions as much as possible. Get involved, obviously, is the key thing. Make sure you come to the live streams. So that's probably the key thing from that. We are going to try and move those forums up onto the main header bar and those sorts of things. And if you are putting your profile into or setting up your profile in the DVIC app, please note if you're DV2 certified as well, because obviously, the community likes to know who's done the cert, who really knows their stuff. And we'll have lots of people on. So I've been chatting to Cindy and Dan and the guys in Scale Free over in Europe. So we're going to try and get a lot wider group of people involved in these in the meetups or live streams. So you'll hear lots of content. So if you can't make the actual time, I guess we will make the recordings available. I'm not sure exactly the time frame on that, but that's sort of, I guess, it for the first one. I think it was a success. Would you call it a success, James?
Yeah, I would have loved Nols to be here, but live. It is live.
Yeah, it is. That's right. We'll get Nols in earlier and test a few things, but I think it was just a technology problem. Zoe's just told me that Nick made a comment about doing some intros about people using DV for migrations. So Nick, I know what you're talking about. I'll do that, and nice to have you joining. So we'll see you all very soon. Keep your eye on the app, and please, if you are on LinkedIn or whatever and you see some of the promotions for DVIC, sharing the word would be really helpful. So all right, everyone, have a great afternoon.
Bye.